Hello, everyone. I am here today with a serial entrepreneur, Hasan Alkaya. Hasan, if you could introduce yourself and the company or companies you represent.
Hi, Matt. Thank you for the introduction. So I run a company that helps with other companies' supply chain management, which involves multiple steps down the road. So we basically touch base with procurement department and then logistic, and then if they require outsource 3PL warehouses for their operation. We also help with that stage as well. So overall, I'm in the supply chain industry and we are trading commodities as well. So that's about it.
A lot of things that you've touched on, obviously, in your range of services. Let's go back to when you first started. What got you into the industry? I know that one of the company you founded, MetPlus, started about 2019, if I remember correctly. So did you found a gap that you noticed that you wanted to take advantage of, or what happened then?
So basically, it comes from my experience and my background, obviously. So my dad was running big companies' supply chain operation in Turkey. I'm from Turkey, and I was already in FMCG industry in Turkey, and I was involved with manufacturing and doing the packaging for other brands. So I took a leap in my college years, and then I was like, okay, I do business and I like to do business, but I gotta get my diploma somehow, and I choose civil engineering as a path so I can flip more money by developing more land. That was my initial goal because I was always in the business. Even if it's not my company, I was going around in my early ages, 16, 17, based on commission rates. And I was chasing my dreams to have something tangible, which was warehouse back then. It is still warehouse, and also add value to other companies, and we can do business B2B because I didn't have any experience, any good experience in retail industry, and we were strictly doing my dad's company was strictly doing B2B business, and I found my skills in B2B business, obviously, and then I wanted to do B2B business for the entire time. So when I talk to the business owners or any entrepreneur, they're missing important components in the company. So they launch the company based on one deal, and then that deal can generate more money, and then they need a structure. They hit a plateau at some level, and then they need a business framework that works with the business in the core, with the external routes to the suppliers, vendors, logistic companies, and anything related to their operation. So many companies focus on building their internal framework and then go focus in the external network. So we really take care of that external components by offering our service within the timely delivery. So then I decided to take my civil engineering path, and I realized the biggest market is United States, and I wanted to come here just to study civil engineering, get my diploma, so then I can test some other stuff as a side hustle, basically. So while I was working as a civil engineer after my graduation, I started my company at the same date. I was hired on November 1st for that civil engineering company, and November 1st, I established the company because I learned enough knowledge, and I was like, it's time for me to go implement in the market. And then that's how we started MetPlus. And initial goal was to trade and learn the business dynamics in the United States so we can leverage our international overseas networks to push more products in the market.
Interesting. So essentially, further education led you to the United States, starting your own business, and the rest essentially is history. But did I get it correctly? You started working as a civil engineer at a civil engineering firm, and at the same time you started your own company.
Yes, correct.
How did you
Yes.
manage those two?
Yes, correct. So I was a single guy and I had nothing to do. And I realized I could work up to 16, 17 hours a day. So basically, what I have done for the business is generating leads. So when a business starts, they need a certain database to generate more money because you have your skill set and you keep them as an asset. You use your asset to generate some cash. That's how we survive in the business. So I was well aware of my skills, but I didn't have my leads. So I opened my company. For the first 6 months, it took me 6 months to figure out all these accounting changes and then all the rules, tax codes, and I realized, okay, I know my safe spot, and I put my borders around it, and then I started my first brand. We did it in the retail just to see the progress for the packaging, for the production, for the US standards. When we manufacture products overseas, we have to make sure that they have the certification. Yes, they do. It's easily accessible to any manufacturer. You can apply for ISO 13485. They approve you after they come and give you a visit to your site, but they don't actually know your operational procedure down the road. So we like to work with international manufacturers or suppliers based on their operational framework. So we have our own trusted vendors we already have done business with, and then we add more alternative vendors to source during the all year round, because there are some geographical and weather-based situations when you do international business. And I've been in this industry globally since I was basically 17, 18 years old. I'm 32 now. It's been basically 14 years. And with that experience, I like to speak the same language while we are going through the entire step with our client, because when we sign a contract with our clients or we work for them as a supply chain coordinator or supply chain consultant, we take the flat fee just to dedicate certain hours to their company so they don't have to go chase suppliers in the internet. They don't know how to make the deal. They don't know how to set the SGS inspections to make sure qualities and quantities match on the order. So we streamline this process to help out clients with the custom tailored models. So that's how we run our operation, and we put it in the system, and we created our system so we can offer to multiple companies at the same time. But basically, since we were testing this model to speak the same language with all the vendors and US market clients, we developed this system to apply the theory in the field. So it's been very helpful for us, and that model helped us to scale way better than what we were doing 5 years ago.
First of all, I realized that we had almost similar, obviously not the same industry, a similar story. Because in the beginning, I thought too, when I was single, that I can work 20 hours a day and just focus on building someone's company, to started my own company. And I can do this all because I can stretch my time. If we have 7 days a week, 24 hours every single day, I don't need to sleep.
Exactly, same mindset.
Same mindset. And then I met my wife, future wife, through work, and everything changed, let's say.
Perfect, perfect, great, man.
Few questions that I have, like what is a typical customer or client base for you? What are the product based, I imagine product based companies that come to you for the most part?
So there are many companies in the market. They do cargo container logistics. They call them supply chain management company. But what they do is actually bringing different tools together and have them work for you. But all of them requires to bring different cultures, basically different companies from the market, and put them together. This doesn't last long for the client's perspective. So what we do is basically we offer the full spectrum and full cycle for the entire production to order delivery to client steps. So what we do is basically when you go to our website, we explain that stages, what happens when they work with us. So I'm not selling my company's services here, but this is what it takes to build the process and then following the steps basically. So our goal is not to carry the most volume in the market. Our goal is not to carry the most expensive item in the world. So our goal is to streamline the product service life. What we do is basically we take a look at your packaging, we take a look at your vendor optimization based on the McKinsey, BCG, which is Boston Consulting Group, Deloitte numbers in any industry. So we do our research and market analysis before we even take a start working with you. So we analyze the market and we see the most common routes for the materials. We see the most common used fulfillment types or services needed for the entire industry. So we go dive deep into the product lines and working SKUs, and then we create our audit, basically finalize our audit based on what is generating money, what is extra, what is savable. So then once we sign the contract and start working with you, we are your external team dedicated to your company. When you need any load, when you need any potential vendor that you want to get a quote for that route, when you need any raw material sourcing or any manufacturing capabilities under our umbrella, we can offer that to companies and then we can work and answer all these questions year around. And then once we start working, we choose the best route. And then if we check with the client, if they have the warehouse actually optimized and they don't need services, we deliver to their door. But if they need services to keep this product stored in some locations close to their customer, we get the right warehouse for them and we do the entire operation. We guide them to find the entire operation team with us. And then when they have an order, we fulfill the order through our warehouse networks. And when the customer outgrow in any market and want to try their chance in another market, another country, we take them to other warehouses and we leverage our network to generate more money for other customers. That's how we make money. Be
So
useful to be profitable.
so it's almost like an end-to-end operation that or support that you provide for those companies. Now, I'll be curious. I'm personally curious about your background is in Turkey. You're from Turkey, so I imagine the products that the vendors that you're manage or you work with as far as importing goods from there is from Turkey as well, or are there different countries that you help your clients source products from? And that's my first question. Second follow-up question would be like, what type of products do you see being brought over to the United States the most?
Yes. So when we create any supply chain structure, we basically go by the book numbers, and that's related to NAICS code numbers. I don't know what NAICS stands for. Let me Google it. North American Industry Classification Systems, which is basically, let's say you're selling furniture and you're categorized under either plastic furniture, wood furniture, or any other material furniture. And then we get your HTS codes, and then how you operate business in United States is basically classified by NAICS codes, and we reach out the entire data and look at the previous articles based on the market evaluations. So for example, we are working with a subcontractor. They're manufacturing aluminum plates for a publicly traded company. So we purchased bauxite for them. Even before I got introduced to that industry, I had no idea about what a bauxite is. Bauxite is basically a aluminum raw material. So for the bauxite, there are multiple companies. We either go to Guinea, Africa, we have a vendor, and then we can do the logistics for the companies. Or we can go to India, we have multiple vendors. Or if you have a vendor that you want to use from China, which is kind of tough right now, you can do that and we can handle logistics. Not a problem. So those companies are strategically chosen because of the free trade agreement. So now it's 10% tariff minimum applicable to all those 5 to 10 companies as well. But basically, we take the SIC code, which is the standard industry code, and then we go do our research, and then we can have an access to large volume importers and exporters of those materials and SIC codes. So we do our study upfront to answer all those questions. That's why we are industry agnostic.
So essentially, you can help them in multiple countries. You can help them with different industries and different products, and
Correct.
essentially handle everything from end to end.
So basically, we don't go by the country, we go by the product and source.
But those are mainly companies based in the United States, obviously.
Correct. Correct.
Let's talk about some future bets. Where do you see some innovations happening and coming to the market from your perspective? Maybe artificial intelligence is one of the hot topic obviously right now. Electric vehicle or electrification of things as far as some logistics goes and transportation goes. What are your future bets on as far as innovations goes?
So there's a lot of room to grow in technology. So I think we just started. But I still believe in the ancient trade rules in the Business Agreement Acts. So when I do the operation, yes, I like to optimize with tools. I'm calling tools because AI is still a tool. It's not a product yet to me. So it doesn't do the entire job. Like we are using some software, give us the entire product at the end. But AI is just taking the input and creating a output by using the intelligence, but we need to train it. So after training process, I believe many people will create many products needed in the market. But in order for me to have like call this tool as a product, it should be a tangible product in front of us, like an iPhone. Like Steve Jobs made a device, now we cannot live without it. So I expect the same result from Sam Altman. So Sam Altman can become a Steve Jobs of this era.
So yeah, there's definitely a lot of things that needs to happen, like 3D printing. I had no idea that it's becoming very popular. I see more and more applications for that. And actually, what's your take on 3D printing? Because normally, or speaking of the last, let's say 20, 30, 40 years of trade, we wanted to find a different product cheaper. That's why we went overseas. We wanted to import it, repackage it, put a logo on it, add our enhancements to it, and then sell it for more. With now 3D printing becoming so popular, like where do you think what's going to happen in the next 10 years where we are going to essentially be able to print any product we want? We're not talking about large products, but most of the products that we see used day to day, let's say around our house. Yeah, what's your take on that?
So just to answer your question, I believe in longevity. Once they find I believe it'll grow, and once they find the correct raw material and process that raw material and deliver the results with the 3D print, they can build a house. I believe in 3D printing. But are we there yet? I don't know. Like how long it's gonna take us to focus on this and create a product and make a living? I don't know. I'm more realistic on that matter. So I personally go with the intelligence, not artificial intelligence. Intelligence in the market. So you need to have five senses to understand, digest, and analyze the entire market to get in and start doing business. Until that moment, I believe it's still just a hobby. Once you figure it out, then you have a purpose and you see the picture. You chase your dreams by following your steps. So I think it'll come to that point with the product sense because labor is expensive wherever you go. It's getting more expensive because the inflation is killing the entire margin throughout the entire world. And we are going through an inflationary stage. So I believe there will be more solutions in the market and they're already doing the R&D on 3D printing products, printed products. So we'll see what happens down the road. But I'm excited to see any results.
I'm excited as well. We'll see where it's going to take us. Now, let's talk about logistics a little bit. You work with product-based companies, and I can only imagine from a consumer perspective that time is of the essence, especially if you have Amazon, now Walmart, and other large corporations that figure out a way to deliver within 24 hours, within the same day in some cases. How do you compete with that as a consumer base, like as a product based company? And that doesn't have to be consumer based or consumable good, I mean, but any product out there, like how can one compete with that? How can you build, and I'm not talking about a billion-dollar company, let's say medium-sized company. How can what can they implement, and how is it possible for them to make sure that their customers are getting convenient times, delivery times, and are able to essentially keep their customer base without them going to Amazon or other big corporations?
So yeah, it's a large topic. Let's slice them into little pieces. If we are talking about business aspect, I don't think it's competing. I think it's opening a new channel by working with big box stores. Amazon will become a box store soon. So with the FMCG categories, I believe in a fair market value strategy, and we can definitely create brands with cheaper value in this inflation like recession, and beat the inflation with our power to bring that cost down, and then optimize your expenses for the entire operation, and then you can increase your margin by being in the new channels. But if you're only talking about logistics or supply chain, Amazon is a supply chain company that was able to put the dashboard in front of us in early days. They did a great job. That's why they're the number one in the market for their level. But they are specifically focused on e-commerce and retail. We are not competing with them when we do B2B or B2G, which is business to government. So having big companies like Target, Amazon, Walmart, is a good thing for your private labels. But if you're selling other people's product, it's really hard to stay in that market. You need to build your relationships. In B2B industry, this is exactly what we did. We built our relationship and we work like an in-house team with our vendor first to build trust, and then did the same thing on the other hand for clients and build trust. As an intermediary, nobody asks us how much money we are making because they're happy with the results. We don't share anything, like we don't miss anything, we don't hide anything. We share all the data with our clients so they know what percentage we are making to get this job done. So we are not specifically competing with any companies or any industries, but we are here to solve and overcome problems throughout your entire stage. So if you have a contract, not only one-time sale on Amazon or Walmart, let's say you secure a contract for manufacturing soaps and you have the facility, but you have to deliver all those products in a timely manner. Are you going to ship with air freight? You don't know the prices. Are you going to ship with ocean? How long it's going to take? Are you going to ship and store in the EPL warehouse or your own warehouse? So all of them has to be set before we start moving the product. So if you already have those in place, we can come in and make your job easy, and we can negotiate on the prices and lower your cost. And if you don't have that system, we have that system and infrastructure. We're happy to share with our client.
Got it. Good answer right there. Now let's talk about you. I know you have several companies under your belt. Some of them are pretty interesting, as the car bed concept.
Yeah, race
That's
car that concept.
race
Yes.
car. There you go. I can only imagine how cool that would have been if I had one 25 years ago
When we
or
were
more.
kids, right?
Yeah, that's was my dream. I mean, for a long time was a dream to have it, like have a bed like that, and never got one. But it is what it is. Maybe my kids will get those.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here anytime, and I still own the business.
Yeah. So it's how did you end up owning multiple businesses, investing multiple businesses, and what are the challenges associated with that? How do you navigate through that landscape?
As I said, I grew up in Turkey and I was raised in Turkey and I lived in Turkey until 23 years old. So basically, I was cooked with the entire dynamic in the market. Like I was okay. Wherever I go, I knew what I was doing. So I wanted to understand the market. And when I was in Turkey, I was also not industry agnostic, but I was in a large category, which is FMCG category. So you have a gold as an asset, you have a silver as an asset, you have a Bitcoin as an asset throughout the entire world. When there's an inflation and recession kills your entire margin in your market starts going down. Let's say you're generating $120,000 a month for the last year. I bet it dropped if you didn't increase your portfolio, if you didn't onboard more clients. So market is going down with the inflation. Banks are making the most money out of your deal. And then all you have to do is move your product, get paid on the right time. It's not just in case mode anymore. Just in time mode. Like there are two terms in shipping. Just in term or just in case. One of them is basically, if you trust yourself, come and work with me style. The other one is basically, I'm looking for alternative sources type. So we go by just in time terms in the like high inflation. So with that said, I was in the FMCG category and I was serving supermarkets. I was dealing with supermarkets like chains. They have 28 chains, they have 32 chains, and then some of them went out of business because they couldn't manage the entire capital. Because being in the business means managing your capital. If you're not managing your capital, bye bye, goodbye. So you're not going to stay in the business. That's the rules. So, with that said, we always treat our inventory as an asset, but it applies like it's applicable. There's like you can lower your turnover rate and then make quick money. Let's say you're making 2% 5 times a month, that creates 10% margin. Instead of waiting for one deal, you can do the volume, get the same results as a dollar amount. It's all about your skill sets and how long it's gonna take, like including your fuel, which is the capital, and then your expectations, which is your time frame, timeline. So depending on that, I was always treat my inventory as an asset, and I like to keep lower turnover rate, like shorter turnover rates to generate more cash.
Can I uh, ask you a follow-up question on that? What about forecasting? Since you obviously that I feel like this is the biggest thing in that type of economy. Forecasting how much inventory you should keep, since you mentioned it's an asset. So you can keep getting more and more inventory, but what if you can't move it fast enough? And that can become a nightmare. And I know some stories from directly to consumer companies. We've worked overall our history, probably 40 or 50 by now, companies that sell directly to consumers. So inventory forecasting is an issue in many of them, because especially if this is a product that requires certain care, like refrigeration, or has a shorter term, how do you call it, shelf life, you have to be able to move quickly products like this. So forecasting becomes a very important aspect of it. How do you approach forecasting? Do you think AI can help here at this point, or what's your take on forecasting, inventory forecast?
100% agree with you. Forecasting is the major player here. Without forecasting, we cannot even make any plan. So that's how we make companies, like help companies to save more money on that side. So we are not here for just getting a quote for one load. We are here to optimize the entire process. Yes, obviously, if I'm, let's say, manufacturing this pen, I need to get some nickelage for this, some tools for the inside, some springs, some attachments, some molding at least. and then I started manufacturing. So probably someone just made this design and then sold it for cheaper, and then distribution company took it and then put some names on it to get the word out there. Now there's a product and there's a distribution line. So manufacturing didn't get involved in the distribution line process. Distribution get the data, put all this analysis and numbers into some sort of software or AI, and generate expected volume or revenue from this item, and they want to make the most profit down the road. So this is how it works. You don't have to keep the same margin throughout your entire service cycle, but sometimes you sacrifice from profit, sometimes you sacrifice from time, like based on whatever is important for you, but the forecast is based on the total market cap needs, basically demand, and how much we want to capture based on that demand.
Got it. Speaking of demand, I mean, you own several companies. So first of all, do you offer any sort of growth consulting for those companies when it comes to demand, or how do you handle acquisition side for your companies if you have
Mhm.
limited amount of time? But how do you come in and build multiple acquisition systems for all of your companies?
So I always look at the supply and demand in any industry, and I like to solve problems. That's our passion. That's my personal passion, and that's the culture in our company. And whoever we partner with, we choose to partner with other companies to grow faster. We partner with companies with similar culture, and then we give them the instruction what type of language we use first. We set the tone, we help them to onboard with us to go do their research. So in order for us to generate money on this, we go by the performance base. So when I'm able to save 10% on your freight, how much would you share with me? That's personal. So that's why we sit down with many business owners, and our acquisition model is based on what we are solving in the market. We do offer growth consulting for product-based businesses with the same growth wheel model that we are using in our companies. So I have a furniture brand. In that furniture brand, we do have the manufacturer, and then we give them the instruction how to package them, what to put in it, how to create the assembly manuals, assembly manual videos, because many people are not familiar with putting the beds together, like bed frames together in furniture industry. So we need to optimize that. We need to show that, like, all this business. My day-to-day job is basically working in the business development to optimize the entire process. Once it's done, we already use our system to grow faster. We focus on sales, but without the backend support, you cannot fight and last long in the game. Like, if you're doing business and if you're a business owner, one key is to stay in the business.
Grow a business, stay in the business.
Stay in the business.
And you can build the foundation on sand. I mean, technically you can, because I'm based in the desert. Somehow they figured it out, but it's another topic. It's Dubai would be another example. How to build on sand. They know how to do that.
Yes.
Moving on, what advice would you give to your younger self starting out in the entrepreneurship journey?
So my challenge was being all by myself. I was a solopreneur. When I get the tasks to figure it out, because you have to figure it out at the early stages. And I'm talking about early stages because I'm talking to younger myself. In the early stages, I had to figure out the entire system. That's why it took me long. I wish I got mentorship earlier.
Mentorship is definitely helpful in everyone's life, not only for business but in any other area. That's why you see even professional athletes that are in the game for 10, 15, 20 years, they also have mentors, coaches, trainers for all the specific areas of their essentially life, if you will. So That's a
Yeah,
good.
after that interaction, and you see someone else already go through what you're planning to go through, and you just see the outcome. You don't even see the outcome actually. You just dream of the outcome, and you don't know what to do. Like, you know the steps, or you don't know how to do. Know-how is a game changer in the world. So know-how is the key. So go find like well-known people that has better know-hows in the market, and they don't have to label themselves as mentors or coach, but they're the coach, they're the mentors, and I have a lot of non-labeled coaches around me. So I ask them questions and I receive the answers in my language as you go train your chat GPT and set the tone. So it's all about the language you speak, and you need to have some sort of language pattern to achieve what you're planning to achieve.
That I wanted to say thank you so much, Hassan, for your time. It's been a pleasure hosting you during that
Pleasure
episode.
talking to you as well. I
And I
appreciate your time.
stay on for another minute, please. And I look forward to seeing all of your companies grow, some exits potentially. You still have good 30, 40 years ahead of you. So I hopefully
God
be
knows.
good talking to you.
Great talking to you, my friend.